Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Vinny Costa, editor of Street Muscle Magazine, brought to you by Lucas Oil. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Greg Acosta, editor of Engine Labs and the all-around tech guru. What's up, Greg?
Yo, what's going on, Vinny?
Not a whole lot, man, other than another build series. So I'm excited about that. We've done 2 so far. This will be the 3rd series, and this one's a little bit different. Get to do some unconventional kind of hot rod building, I guess.
I mean, let's be honest. This segment probably would have got you laughed out of any new manufacturer boardroom only 15 years ago.
Yeah, man. The performance SUV market has it's taken off like I don't think anybody could have predicted. It effectively, well, the SUV market in general and the crossover market has effectively killed the American sedan.
Yeah.
American manufacturers just aren't producing them anymore. We saw the death of the Impala, the Focus. What's the other Ford? The Taurus. I mean,
The
the only one
Fusion,
that, the Fusion. The Malibu is gone. Let's see, Dodge is pretty much the only one who makes one anymore, and it's the Challenger, or excuse me, the Charger, and that's a beloved car. I don't think that's going anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, people love the American population loves big pickup trucks and crossover SUVs and SUVs. So they're here to stay. So it makes sense that they would make a performance version of those SUVs, but they're not the first ones to do it. Italian and Japanese automakers have been doing it for a long time too. But today we're going to build the American version, the one that I think kind of sets the standards here in the States for performance, and that is the Trackhawk. So exciting.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen just from some of the in-house projects that with some time and sweat equity, you can take them from fast to just ridiculous.
Well, it's sweat equity. I mean, honestly, Diablo Sport.
Yeah, right. Just a tune and an exhaust
and a smaller supercharger pulley. They're getting a Trackhawk, a 5,000 pound vehicle, 5,000 pound plus vehicle, into the 9-second quarter mile territory. Are you kidding me? That's mind boggling.
I mean, I remember saying that when the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S came out. It's like, why does a soccer mom need to go 180 miles an hour?
Well, I think it's safe to say that most of those people who are taking those vehicles to the limits are not soccer moms.
I know, but I mean that was the mindset, because that came out well before the Trackhawk.
Well, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but I think we were quick to say like, oh well, this has never been done before. But if we look back, the early 2000s, the Chevy Trailblazer SS was kind of ahead of the game, right? They had the 6.0. It was a beast, and it was
GMC Typhoon.
Yeah, even if you go even further, yeah, you got the GMC Typhoon.
I mean, was that considered an SUV? Were those SUVs back then?
Technically, I think it was. I mean, it was a closed shell kind of pickup truck sort of thing.
I mean, but what did they call? Did they call those SUVs back then? The whole S15. The Jimmy,
I think the term SUV had already, it had become part of the American vernacular, because you had the Tahoe already at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so then really, I mean, the Typhoon was probably the first performance SUV, right?
I guess, yeah. I would call it a little truck, but I would be wrong.
That's what the Cyclone was. The Typhoon was a closed back, I mean.
Yeah, I can't argue with that logic. So yeah, I guess that would probably be the first real performance SUV, because I mean, you always had SUVs. You had like the Suburban that goes back way far, right?
Yeah.
They weren't, at best, the performance you were going to get was like a big block, and honestly, it was just torque for towing.
Yeah.
So, not really the same thing as what we're dealing with today. This market segment is just, it's like, you know, the gremlins. You keep feeding it and then boom, it's just grown into this crazy kind of thing.
Yeah, because you're mixing performance and practicality, you know? I mean,
And
like
then
you can talk and say, oh, there's nothing practical about you know, a Trackhawk, but it's like, yeah, actually there is some practicality to the vehicle itself.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It'll fill that role. But it'll also like get you some places real fast,
Yeah,
as
right.
people see. But you look at, you know, what just Stellantis, but previously Dodge designers are doing, they're just chucking these Hellcats into anything and everything. So I say game on, let's see a Caravan next.
I know there's been a lot of that floating around the internet, but there have been some really nice renders of what a potential Hellcat Caravan would look like. And
If anybody's watching, that was a joke. Please don't do it. Sport minivans, I don't ever want to become a thing. Okay, so just don't.
no, yeah, they can. They absolutely can.
No.
I mean, I seriously think about the memes. I'm not going to reference them specifically because they're not appropriate for the show, but about Dodge executives sticking Hellcat engines and everything.
I know which meme you're talking about, Greg, and I'm here for it. I thought it was hilarious, but it's exactly that. It's a joke. Although I will say, so back in the day, Ford was actually doing something crazy with their vans. Like we're talking 60s, I think, like late 60s, and they had like a van racing series.
What?
Very short lived, but yeah, they were like performance vans. They were like Trans Am racing, sort of. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find something on Google.
Oh, that's nuts. I mean, but isn't that just kind of like the core of the hot rodder spirit, to put way too much power to something that didn't have it, and just
Check this out. I'm gonna share my screen. Yeah, so
oh my god,
overpowered transit super vans, and I mean, look at these things, dude.
that first one you had up there, I
Isn't that,
kind of need it.
isn't that awesome?
I kind of need it.
It's got like it's the Wimbledon white with the Guardsman blue stripes, and it's, you know, that's awesome. Come on. So, you know,
That's
yeah,
I love it. I'm in love.
kind of crazy, right? But anyways, I guess let's jump into this episode before we go down any more rabbit holes. Let's build us a Trackhawk.
At Silver Sport Transmissions, we believe classic cars and trucks look their best on the open road, and four-wheel drives belong on the trail. We continue to innovate and develop the best overdrive transmission packages for muscle cars, street rods, classic trucks, and four-wheel drive vehicles. Our commitment to customer service and integrity is second to none. When the wrenches begin to turn, Silver Sport Transmissions is there. Hit the trail with Silver Sport Transmissions.
Yeah, I love it.
Come on, guys. How are you?
Good, man. It's good to see you guys. It's been a while, huh?
Yeah,
Rob,
it's
I
been
saw you
too
last
long.
week, but yeah, this is the first time that all three of us have been together in a while.
Yeah, it sure has.
I just hit my elbow.
Let's see. Greg was under the weather a little while, and then Vinny, you went on vacation.
Yeah, I was traveling for work and then vacation. So yeah. Wow.
Well, this wasn't my fault. I just want everybody out there to realize I was ready to go the whole time. So,
you do have quite a fan base on Street Muscle, so I would not be surprised. But yeah, welcome back, dude. Thank you for making time to do this again, Greg.
Thanks for having me.
So, as the title indicates for everyone watching at home, we're going to build some more cars today, or a car today, kind of in line with some of the other build series that we've done. If you haven't seen those, go back and check our catalog on YouTube and Facebook. We did some muscle cars, we did some supercars, and now we're going to do some hot rod haulers. But first, I want to talk about some current events with Rob regarding a recent attempted vehicle purchase. We were just talking about this offline,
Yeah.
but can you give us a little backstory, Rob?
Yeah, well, I had been seeing that used car prices are going through the roof lately. And mostly because the car companies are really in sporadic production right now. GM, Ford, and Stellantis are all seeing factory shutdowns and stuff like that because of part shortages and labor issues and all sorts of COVID-related things. And as best as I can discern, more stringent EPA testing as well. And because of that, new car production is really slow. And, you know, in a supply and demand country, you know, economy, used car prices have conversely shot up, and you know, people are just trying to get their hands on whatever they could and whatever they can. And I had a friend who had said to me he had sold a car to Vroom, a used car. It was in really, really good condition, and that he had received a really sizable amount of money for the car, more than a lot more than Blue Book value. So on a whim, I just went on the Vroom website, and it's very easy. You just type in your VIN number, plate number, and then you go through a checklist of all the features your car has. You talk about mileage, condition, so forth. And my 2012 Challenger SRT8, they were willing to give me an almost incredible amount of money. Like, my jaw dropped when I saw it. Partially because my car was a stick shift, and for whatever reason, stick shifts are really in demand right now. I think because between the Mustang, Camaro, and Challengers, you can't get stick shifts right now for some reason. I know there were production delays on the Tremec, which accounted for problems with the Challenger. And I assume that extended to the Mustang as well, which I believe Greg uses a Tremec as well.
Yep.
6-speed. Yeah. So to make a
Actually,
long
no,
story,
it's Getrag. I
is it
think
Getrag?
I think they're still using Getrag. I think
Okay.
because if it did change, it would have changed when they did the D4 model in 18. But I'm pretty sure it's Getrag.
Okay.
I think.
Well, regardless, you know, Challenger stick shifts are apparently highly in demand, and I just couldn't resist the money that was offered to me. I mean, it was astronomical. So I sold my beloved SRT8 Challenger with the intention that I was, as soon as they picked up the car and handed me a check, and the check cleared, I was just going to go ahead and purchase myself a manual transmission Hellcat.
By the way, I want to compliment you on being so responsible as to wait not only to get the check, but for it to clear. Because if it were me, as soon as somebody was like, "Would you like money?" I'd be like, "I just spent it 5 times."
Yeah, right.
So I just want to compliment you on actually.
But it was the type of money I was offered. It was such that you know, I had a sizable down payment plus a whole bunch of money, even more money left over, that I could do what I want with it. But as a responsible person, unlike you, I invested in the stock market, and so I called my friend who works at a Dodge dealership, and I told him what I had done. And I said, "Hey, I want to come in, hook me up with, you know, a salesman and all that." My friend actually works in the parts department at a dealer, and hook me up with your favorite salesman, and I'm going to come in and order me a 6-speed Hellcat. Well, it turns out my plan was thrown a monkey wrench in that there is no 6-speed Challenger production going on right now, at least in the Hellcats. And again, there was a backup on the Tremec 6-speed transmissions. And Stellantis had promised that you could order and have one built by now. October is when they said it would happen, and October has, for the most part, passed us, and that has not come to pass. So I'm in a holding pattern. The 22 press release for the model year 22 cars has been released, and it still lists 2 transmission options, the A8 and the M6. So I'm just waiting for them to say they're actually producing them, but apparently that's their plan. So we'll see, and I'll keep y'all posted. I'm very excited to
tell our audience why, because I asked the question, like, Rob, why not just go buy a used one, like one that's a year old? But Rob, the aficionado that you are, basically told us, like, no, I wanted to say this car was bespoke.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm a geek like that. Also, I always want, I'm the kind of person that wants exactly the equipment on it and nothing more, nothing less.
This is what we build them online. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm very particular in my options and stuff like that. I mean, the cars I get are typically very close to loaded, but like a 6-speed is typically a lot harder to find on a lot, even if I wanted to purchase it that way, just an existing car on the ground. Most dealers would have to go, do a search, for on the ground inventory. And then the car would have to be shipped and blah, blah, blah. I prefer to just build to order. And as you said, Stellantis has a thing where when you get your factory build to order car, the window sticker says this car was built specifically for. And I kind of dig that because I'll frame the window sticker and put it on the wall in the garage.
You don't want to do like me and just get dumb lucky that a dealership ordered exactly what you wanted?
I'm not getting dumb lucky like that, man. I mean, you can't even find a stick shift. I'm sure my Challenger sold in like a New York minute, as soon as it hit the market, when it said 6-speed, I'm sure it went. So
you were kind of hypothesizing as to why this is all happening. Obviously, like, there's supply chain delays, and you can look out your window and just tell people what you can see.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before we went live. I'm graced with living in the beautiful coastal town of Malibu, and my backyard overlooks the Pacific Ocean, and I can see Catalina Island, and I can see the coastline of Santa Monica and Venice and so forth. And this is what's known as the Santa Monica Bay. It's actually, of course, the Pacific Ocean, but they call it the Santa Monica Bay. And right now I can see about 5 or 6 massive cargo ships just anchored offshore, and they've been sitting there for weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, in total, if I were to go outside, I think I've seen as many as 16 at one time.
And also, I think we need to point out, because not everybody's going to know the geography, that's still 40 miles from the Port of Long Beach? Like, it's not like
it's not quite that. It's not quite that far. You have the Port of LA, which is south of like Marina and so forth, and then you have the Port of Long Beach, which is even further down. They're about like probably like 30 miles apart, 20 miles apart.
But I mean, they're sitting outside your window means they're at the end of the tail end of the backup.
Yeah,
like they're not right on the.
I mean, conceivably, right now there's maybe 50 ships that just have been sitting out there for weeks, and Folks out there might hear these reports about shortages of goods of all kind. There's proof of it. For whatever reasons related to COVID and stoppages in production, now there's a backlog of stuff. Not a backlog, but a backup of stuff trying to get in, and they just simply can't accommodate all these ships. I don't know if COVID affected like longshoremen, numbers of longshoremen on duty and stuff, but apparently I read that Biden signed something that allowed the ports in LA and Long Beach to stay open now 24/7. There were previously federal regulations about the hours that ports could stay open, because each ship has to go through security inspections and sniffed for bomb material or nuclear material or whatever. And now I think they have federal agents working around the clock trying to get these ships inspected and brought into port so they can unload all the goods. So it's kind of a mess. I mean, this is unprecedented, uncharted territory our economy is in right now. It's not just affecting cars. If I ordered a Challenger, it would come by rail. These ships are from all over the world. So they've got probably semiconductors, all sorts of chips, televisions, laptops, you name it. It's all just sitting right out there.
Yeah, it seems like, there's just bottleneck after bottleneck, whether it's supply chain or, workforce, what have you.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Rob. I really hope that you're able to order your Challenger soon.
Me too. I'll keep you all posted. It'll happen. Trust me. I've got faith.
You've just got to lower your standards and be like me and just buy shit boxes.
Yeah.
But I got rid of, a car that I put a lot of work into. So it would be sacrilege to replace it, with a shit box. It's got to be.
It was the SRT8. So it was pre-Hellcat. So like to get the Hellcat would be like
it's a big jump. Mine was a 392 SRT8. So it had and mine was the first generation of the 392. So it had 470 horsepower, 470 torque. They did, I think in 2015, they bumped up to 485 horsepower. Going from that to a Hellcat, which currently has 717 horsepower, is going to be fun. Yeah. It'll be interesting. I've been driving stick shift cars my whole life. But on a car like that, trying to get away smoothly, like modulating your clutch from launch and stuff, but still getting into the throttle on it, I'll probably have to relearn a thing or two to avoid massive wheel spin or the traction control program just shutting it down on the line.
Just budget for another clutch.
Yeah, and tires, no doubt, and tires. So
bring this thing full circle and segue into our next segment on this episode, Rob. If you weren't, God forbid, able to purchase that Hellcat and you had to, for some reason, buy another SUV type vehicle, which vehicle would that be?
An SUV as opposed to a muscle car?
Yeah, like you had to for whatever reason, like you didn't have your Cherokee, you no longer have the Hellcat, or you no longer have the SRT. What could possibly fill that role?
Well,
of those vehicles.
Well, Vinny,
this almost sounds rehearsed.
I think given the fact that I'm a Mopar guy and I own a Grand Cherokee 4x4 Overland with the 5.7 Hemi in it. That's my daily driver. I might gravitate immediately to the Trackhawk version of the Grand Cherokee, which has the 717 horsepower Hellcat engine. Now, having said that, this entire episode is going to be devoted to looking at that car and comparing it to the world's best hyper SUVs. And for all I know, there might be one from somewhere in Europe that appeals to me a lot more. So
In
we
the
got to
last
figure
build
that out.
that we did, which was like the supercar shootout. So it was essentially Corvette versus the world, basically
Right.
like what you're describing now.
Yeah.
I would have agreed with you then, like, oh yeah, there are challengers in that arena that I would gravitate toward even before the Corvette, even though the Corvette is pretty awesome. In this case, I don't think so. At least that's my contention now at the beginning of this series. None of the European offerings, none of the other offerings that we talked about previous to this could lure me away from the Trackhawk, or actually I favor the Durango, which they only made for that 1 year, but I favor the Durango Hellcat.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another vehicle, another SUV that I would rather have.
Yeah. And, in preparation for what we're about to do, I looked at, all the hyper SUVs, if you will, that are out there. And curiously, unlike the muscle car segment, American muscle car segment, where we have three awesome offerings in the form of the Shelby GT500, the Camaro ZL1, and the Dodge Challenger Hellcat and Red Eye, and now super stock models. There really isn't any Jeep competition as far as American manufacturers were concerned. I was shocked. I didn't know much.
Explorer ST would kill it in our spreadsheet.
Yeah, but that only has like 400 horsepower.
I'm just saying, in our spreadsheet, it would kill it.
400 horsepower, and they're not that cheap anymore, dude.
Oh, they were never cheap. Like,
Yeah, how would it kill it in the spreadsheet?
Because
Yeah.
because it's not cheap in real people money, but in spreadsheet money, at 52 or whatever, the way we probably would have built it, it would have destroyed everything.
Yeah, but I've got a cat versus dog battle going on here. Everybody calm down.
I mean, we that ST.
See, even they agree. They agree that
Yeah.
the Explorer would kick ass.
Well, but here's the thing: in terms of performance, the Ford would just get destroyed, because every car we're going to be looking at has pretty much in excess of 600 horsepower.
I don't think
That's-
Blazer,
but you have so much extra money that you could throw a bigger turbo on it,
that's
or a bigger set of turbos.
Yeah, but we're evaluating these cars based on factory spec. Not
I know. I just
any of these cars can be modded.
we could have had the Pro Charger on that C8 and then blown everything else out of the water.
Sure, and like the Trackhawk, you could put the Red Eyes blower on it, and just instantly with just a retune of the.
I'm trying to cheat the system, Greg.
I'm just saying.
Okay, well,
I like the Explorer ST.
The point that I was relating is that there is no horsepower war like there is with muscle cars in this segment that we're about to talk about. There's just the Jeep as far as America is concerned, but there is some serious competition out of Europe. And
Well, I feel like this whole topic, though, is best summed up by, we were so worried if we could, we never thought if we should.
Well, that's Dodge's thing, right? Like, I just put a Hellcat engine in it. But we'll see if Ford takes the same approach with the Bronco. If they build a Raptor Bronco that has a V8, then okay.
Yeah, and I think I read a rumor to that effect.
Does the Bronco really count for this segment?
SUV, sort of.
It's a little bigger than the Grand Cherokee, and it's really an off-road aimed vehicle. No one off-roads Grand Cherokees. I mean, no one.
I just feel like, as much as I want Ford to be represented, I don't know that the Bronco fits into this category.
I agree.
I agree too. If you were gonna do it,
the Rubicon, yeah,
you would think it would be the Explorer that they would put like the GT500's drivetrain in or something like that.
But again, you don't have Dodge execs running Ford.
Right.
And we all know what meme we're all thinking about right now.
Yeah.
I think at the very least we could say, the bow tie gang, they bring nothing to the table in this conversation, which kind of
No, nothing. It's really surprising to me. But as I said, as far as Europe is concerned, there's some serious competition.
Europe, but also the Japanese market. Well, high horsepower. Does Lexus make anything anymore?
Not
No.
ridiculous, not like this. Not
Well, I guess you're right. I guess it's mainly Italian and British, right?
British and German. Yeah, we're
German.
going to see from
X5.
from Italy. We have 3 offerings. The top one being the Lamborghini Urus, which is probably the most insane SUV, factory equipped SUV on the market right now. You have the Maserati, what's it called? Levante, I believe, and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio.
Still nothing Ferrari.
Dude, let's be honest. You could take an Italian manufacturer and they could say whatever they want in Italian. It makes it sound like a hypercar.
Yeah,
They
pretty
could
much.
literally just say the big fat roller skate, and it would sound like a
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Ferrari is coming out with an SUV to compete with the Lamborghini Urus. It's about a year away, and it will be called the Purisang, is allegedly the name they've chosen. But no spy photo.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking of like the naming conventions, they're so like they give them these elegant names, and then we have the Jeep Trackhawk.
Yeah, right.
So what's the British offering?
Logos and stuff.
Well, the British, the main one is the Aston Martin DBX, which I just happened to see one on the road near my parents' house about a week and a half ago, and is sublime looking. It's gorgeous.
Two supercharged offerings, one from Land Rover and one from Range Rover.
Yeah, but I did a little research, and in terms of power levels, those two, we're going to have to make a decision whether to include those or not, because in terms of power levels, they're way below.
Wait, if we can't have the ST,
do they make more than the Explorer ST?
Yes, but not by much.
Like what, 500?
It was like mid 5, like 520, 530, something like that. And you have to understand that in a 6,000 pound, Land Rover does not equate to the same performance level that like a Grand Cherokee with 700 horsepower has, or a Lamborghini with.
Limit the number of vehicles that we do.
Well, I don't think we have to worry about it now, because, if it's America against the world that we're going for, we should start with America today.
Of course. What just out of curiosity, what German offerings are there?
Germany gives us an AMG GLE class. It gives us, and that's the 6.3 liter AMG engine, which is monstrous, and the BMW X5M, which also is a monster.
What about Porsche?
And and of course Porsche Cayenne Turbo.
The original 200-mile-an-hour soccer mom mobile.
Yeah, I think it's the Turbo S is the high end version of the Cayenne.
Name that's in the CL 63.
I'm sorry, say that again. You dropped out.
Is that GLE engine the same that's in the CL63, I believe?
Yeah, it's the same engine that's in the AMG E-Class sedan and coupe and the C-Class sedan and coupe. It's a massive V8, supercharged. It's a monster engine, 631 horsepower, I think. So this is definitely going to be a competitive iteration of our little build games here.
Well, then let's quit gabbing and build us a Trackhawk.
Sweet. SCHWEET. Sweet.
Will I allow you to share your screen, Greg? Or can you already?
I cannot.
Let me see. Oh, here we go. Maybe not. Zoom.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Eric Mills in Chicago. I'm looking at your shirt, Vinny. You got a Harley shirt on. My buddy, just before we started taping, sent me a text that he just bought a brand new Harley. Nice. And sent me a really cool picture of it with his wife on it. And let's see, what model did he say it was? Lowrider S.
Oh man, yeah.
And it's got blacked out pipes and bike's all black.
If I was gonna buy, well, I already have a lowrider, but if I was gonna purchase a new bike and I didn't already have one,
yeah,
that's the bike, man.
Yeah, he says it's basically the new version of the old Dynaglides that you know.
Yeah, they did away with the Dyna, and they basically combined the Dyna and the Softail lineup into one, and so you have the Lowrider S, which is the top of the market.
Nice. Well, hey, congratulations, Eric.
Did anybody do any pre-show research? Because I'm only seeing the Durango SRT on here. I'm not seeing the Trackhawk.
Then we're building.
You have to go to jeep.com, not.
Oh,
not
well.
That
see how I'm conditioned.
Greg, you're the host now.
What? Oh, okay.
You are now the host.
Is it jeep.com, Rob?
Yes.
I can honestly say this is the very first time I have ever typed that into my browser.
Oh, I've been there a few times.
So let me go ahead and start sharing, and we can follow along.
Still, Greg?
I do. I got to find it, but I do have it. Are we going to change the categories because we have a different vehicle?
No, right?
No.
I think the categories are universal.
I don't know if you wanted to tailor.
For everyone at home tuning in, my background in previous episodes was always at my home office, and now I'm recording from the office at work at Power Automedia. And I came into the conference room. This is where I'm recording, and there's like I'm using this table. I don't know. I guess this is for laptops or something. It raises the laptop, and there's a little drawer underneath. And when I pulled the drawer open just to see what was in here,
and it's full of weed. What is that?
It's Nick Cage.
Oh, I wonder why that would be in there.
I have no idea, but it's.
Hey, Greg, you want to pick the?
You froze right when you were telling me to pick. Rob, come back.
Am I there?
Yeah. What do I pick? Limited edition models?
No, you want to pick the Grand Cherokee as opposed to the all-new Grand Cherokee because they've got a new chassis out. Not that one.
Oh, not the L? Okay.
No. So go back. It's the one on the right, top row on, or go down second to the bottom.
There we go.
We build the Durango instead.
There you go.
Can we build a what instead?
We build the Durango instead.
We can.
It's the same.
I mean, it's it's 6 1/2 dozen. It's the same exact car.
Is it really?
Yes, same
exact I didn't know that.
car. Different sheet metal is
really like Durango more. It would help me score this thing.
Well, unfortunately, you can't get the Durango Trackhawk anymore. It was a 1-year only deal. So
now is the Durango Hellcat versus the Durango Trackhawk a huge difference, or
it's the same thing?
They're the same exact cars, same dry weight. Same.
Well, no, I'm saying we could build the Durango Hellcat.
Yeah, I thought you were just able to do that, Greg.
Yeah, we could build the Durango
Hellcat on their build sheet.
Yeah, you want to build that
configurator? I personally want to do the Jeep, but
I know you're a Jeep guy, Rob. But
okay, you guys fight amongst yourselves and tell me what buttons to click.
Need to be the deciding factor. Pull the Durango up.
I'm going to tell you right now. I think Durango looks better.
Well, Rob is our guest.
I don't know. I think he's
Yes,
I think he's family now.
It's 6 and 1.5 dozen to me, guy. It's literally the same exact car, which is why I just gravitated towards the Jeep, because the Jeep Trackhawk is still in production.
There's the SRT.
That's the SRT, though. That's the 392.
No, it's the Hellcat.
Sergeant.
Oh, there's the Hellcat. Okay.
Let's see if we can configure though.
Can you still
Go to the top, Greg, and you'll see a yellow button on the upper right that says build and price. Let's see what models they give
We're
us.
gonna buy, not
Hellcat.
lease.
There you go.
So do we want? Oh, hold on. So we know we can do this.
Uh-huh.
How much is the other one? How much is the Jeep?
I think they're the same price.
Where's the Trackhawk?
You got to go back a page. You picked the wrong. Go to build and price again on the upper right. And go down and select Trackhawk.
Trackhawk starts at $9,000 more. Look, 90 versus 81.
That could be just interior appointments, and it's the same exact engine. Maybe there is a difference in the four-wheel drive system, in the transaxle. I would have to look that up, but it is the same exact transmission and engine, tuned the same exact way, same output in terms of horsepower and torque. Maybe there's a difference in the transaxle, because on the Trackhawk and on my car as well, it has the air suspension, and you can set ride heights and stuff using a knob in the center console. I'm not sure if the Durango has that, which would necessitate probably this, not only a different suspension, but also possibly a different axle for power delivery.
We could try to build them both at the same time.
We skipped away from it. That RT version of that Durango for like 43 grand. That's a good deal, man.
I mean, seriously, we could build them both and just walk through both of them.
It's up to you guys. I don't
know. I like the look of the Durango better. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too, but let's just build the Jeep, I guess.
So Trackhawk then?
Yeah.
I'm on the X.
Listen, if it ends up losing because it's $10,000 more, then I guess it was meant to be. But
I mean, my only argument one way or the other is you can't buy this car anymore. You haven't been able to buy it new for about 8 months now.
Well, you can't even buy a manual Challenger Hellcat. So
no, but I mean, literally, they are not building any more of these Durangos. They're done.
Why is it on the website?
Yeah, why can you build and buy it?
I don't know, because they haven't, because it was part of the 21 model year, but the run was produced early in 21. And
okay, let's do the Trackhawk, just because honestly, I think it has more notoriety. People know the Trackhawk more than they know the Durango Hellcat.
Even though the Durango's in that gorgeous gray.
You can get the same gray on the Jeep, I believe.
Can you? Okay, well then that's what we're doing.
I like that red.
Wait,
now
that's not Destroyer gray.
Silver. Let's try that one. There you go. Stingray.
They do not have Destroyer gray.
It's called Stingray. You passed on it.
I know.
There it is.
But I like the name Destroyer Gray. The Stingray has like that touch of green in it. And the only reason I know this is I've been paying attention to every car of this color that is driven by. Yeah. Because I want to steal the paint code of something. And I think I settled on it. It's
interesting that it is the same color across many manufacturers. I've seen Porsches in this color, and it looks to me to be the same exact color. Like someone came up with this particular paint, PPG or whatever, and everybody uses the same shade, which is weird.
When we did all the Dodge stuff before, the color palette was awesome, and the color palette on this is garbage.
The color palette on these cars has never, on the Trackhawk version, has never been very broad. On lesser models of the Grand Cherokee like mine, there's more variety of colors. I think the one that has the most is the Trailhawk, which is like the hardcore off-road version of the Grand Cherokee, which has like 12, I think 10 or 12 color choices. But I like this Stingray as much as Greg does. I think it's really hot.
The color that I like out of this whole color palette is that red that it originally was shown in.
The red line too, this one?
Yeah, that looks good. But other than that, none of these other colors do it for me. So whatever you guys want.
I mean, this gray is great, but like I said, it's number 2 on, well, we're not even gonna get into the real Nardo grays, like from the European cars. But this is number 2 on things you can buy in the US affordably.
Mm-hmm. It looks a number 2.
Huh?
What?
Yeah. What?
Who?
Vinny, did you make a poop joke?
Yeah.
All right. So first thing, black painted hood. I just want to see it. I know everybody's gonna fight me on this.
You skipped 2 colors down there on the bottom, Greg. White and then like that silver.
Oh, I did. Ivory coat, and then obviously that must be no paint.
I like the white. I do like it in white.
Well, you know, now that I have a white car, I can like white a whole lot more.
Well, to me, I always like white cars on black wheels.
Well, here's the thing. If you like the white, that I bet that ivory is gorgeous in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's got a touch of pearl in it. So it kind of sparkles. Remember the old Lexus colors from the 90s that had that pearlescent? It's kind of like that. But I think it's more of a white than a cream, which the Lexuses were.
Yeah.
I'm all in on the Stingray. I mean,
let's do this gray.
All right. So black hood, yes or no? I can't.
I like the black hood.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but you know me. I hate stripes and
I feel like I'm gonna sneeze.
Stuff.
I'm allergic to your dislike of a black hood. Oh. Allergies are kicking in something fierce.
You know what's disappointing to me? They used to offer wheel choices on the Trackhawk, and now they're just down to one.
You get no wheel choices?
Nope.
Bonk.
You do on the SRT, the 392 version. Bless you. But apparently no longer on the Trackhawk.
I bet the Durango give you wheel choices.
I mean, do you think that's a cost savings measure, or do you think it's because it's such a specialized? Well, I mean, obviously it's cost savings, but because it's got such a specialized fitment.
It could be a bit of both. Bless you. They don't build too many of these. I believe they're all built to order. Like you'll never see one on a lot. And yeah, I mean, they probably just want to, make it less expensive to manufacture, less options, less cost. So for them, but it would be nice to maybe have a graphite wheel choice, or dare I say, like a brass or a
on this color. On this
not
color,
necessarily on this.
Oh
color.
no! I'm saying I think like a very faint bronze would look sharp.
I've actually seen a Challenger with that color combination. Same. It was called Destroyer Gray when it was offered on Challenger as well, and you could get brass monkey wheels with it, and it was pretty hot looking.
Yeah. All right. So now are we doing all seasons or 3 seasons?
3 seasons, man.
If
that adds $895. Thanks.
Yeah.
Takeaway capability, and you add money. Damn.
Black roof. Yes.
Hold on. Spare tire. Wait. Do we want the spare tire for $400?
No, not me. Adds weight.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, Trackhawk. Yeah, definitely. I like the black roof.
Well, we just took the black roof off, actually.
I think if you want to opt for the panoramic sunroof, I'm not sure you can get it with the blacked out roof.
It has a pretty big sunroof.
Yeah, look at the picture that's shown. Is that the panoramic, or is that just the regular?
That's a giant.
I'm not sure. Mine extends to the back seats.
Okay, then what is shown is not the panoramic.
Yeah, I could be wrong. And actually, we have to get to it. I don't even know if they offer it on the Trackhawk now that I think of it.
So obviously we have two big choices first. Do we want the suede and Napa, or do we want Laguna leather?
I know you guys prefer Alcantara. I always prefer all leather. I would go with the black leather, but it's up to you guys. And also, I'd like to see the black and gray.
I kind of want to see that color too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very light. That's a lot lighter than I thought.
That's gonna get really filthy.
So I think I'm back to the suede inserts.
Ooh, yeah.
So black or tan?
Definitely.
Oh, on this color, black.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm
If
not
it's
a
red
big
color,
fan
the
of tan
might
seats.
be all right. What does the tan look like? Yeah, with that red color, I would pick the tan. That's cool.
But it's not red.
I know.
What does that Italian chef say? And if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bicycle.
Right. Is that the guy that wears the Crocs, the orange Crocs?
I don't know. It comes from a clip where he's being interviewed by somebody on BBC, and she's
Okay.
like, she's saying something. She's like, "Oh, if you added ham to this, it would be like a carbonara," and he gets really offended. And he just looks her dead in the eye and he, if my grandmother had wheels, she would be a bicycle.
Ferrari. That's funny.
I don't know why you talk about these things.
There's your dual pane sunroof. Let's see what happens with the blacked out.
Well, we skipped over the Uconnect 8.4-inch navigation.
Well, because we know you have to have it per ROC.
It's standard.
Oh, okay.
Comes standard.
So how do we see?
I don't
Here,
think you
let
can,
me try
but
more info.
The blacked out roof is still checked. So
It's just dual pane. It's not the long.
hit the Explore 360 button right there, Greg, and see if you can look on the inside of the interior. Down, scroll down. Right.
Oh, gotcha.
Look up. There you go. Boom.
All right.
all right. That's the same sunroof I have in mind. It's great.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a good looking interior.
I like it.
Oh, I love mine. Mine has wood instead of carbon fiber, but
Oh, well, that wood is not as good as carbon fiber. Right?
no.
We know this. We
Of
have
course.
established this.
Bob's interior smells of rich mahogany.
It does.
Do you have many leather bound books in your car?
I don't. Oddly enough, I don't carry leather bound books in my Jeep, but
Yeah, that's a good looking interior.
it
Hey,
is,
didn't you write an article on one of these, Vinny? On James's?
No. He didn't have that car for very long. But yeah, it was okay. They did actually, you know what? No, I didn't write the article, but I took the photos. They installed some, like, I think it was Borla exhaust or something like that. I would have left it stock, but that's me.
Did it have the carbon fiber on the inside?
I don't know. I was never inside of it.
Oh, okay. That's a good looking interior.
It was
Oh, red seat belts. Hell yeah.
definitely.
spin it around, Greg. Let's see this.
Apparently, you got to click Explore 360 each time. It doesn't just. Oh yeah, look
Boom.
at that.
Wow.
That actually does look kind of cool.
It
No.
does, and I don't get into those things very often, but on this particular interior, the red does look good, doesn't it?
Man, is it me or does that back seat just look uncomfortable?
It's not the greatest back seat in the world. It does adjust. You can dip the seats back, but it's thinly padded, even on mine.
Oh wow, look at that.
It's like
The front seats are wonderful. They're
Bolstered and airbagged, and oh man.
these seat belts are kind of like a warning for your passengers when they get in, like, oh, this thing must be
It's like the red key.
yeah.
Cool.
I think on AMG Mercedes, you can opt for I think they have red seatbelts or something. And yeah, it's kind of a warning, like when a bug or a snake has red on it.
Yeah.
Nature's way of telling you to stay the hell away from it. Now, here's something interesting, the signature leather wrapped interior package. I'd be interested.
Well, we have Laguna leather, so let's
$5,000.
let's get a look at it. So, oh wait, no, that's not what I want to do. That's what I want to do. No, again, that's not what I want to do. So that's all we get to look at.
Well, click add it, and then let's go back to the 360 interior and see what it transforms it to. Oh, so you got perforated leather.
Wasn't it perforated before?
No, it was the Alcantara.
Oh, that's right.
Which
okay.
and look at the steering wheel. That's a pretty dope steering wheel. It's a perforated wheel now.
I like the Alcantara better. I'm
not sure if you can have ventilated seats with the Alcantara. I bet you that's what adds to the cost of this. Is that
they were definitely perforated. The Alcantara seats.
They were perforated.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, then yeah, then you get the ventilated seats.
I kind of feel like, especially for the cost, I would not opt for this.
Interesting.
For $5,000.
Usually you guys are the ones who want, carbon fiber engine bays for
this isn't carbon fiber. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying you go for the most superfluous options.
Well, don't get me wrong. If they had a carbon fiber, like footrest, and it was $2,700, we'd be buying 3 of them. But it's leather, and I'm like, whatever. It's leather.
I just prefer Alcantara. So
yeah, so I do prefer the suede. Like, yeah, because look, the suede is definitely perforated.
Well, then you're not losing anything. I really enjoy the I don't know if either of you guys have a car with ventilated seats, but on a hot day, oh man, it feels so nice to have your backside and your leg, the backs of your legs not sticking to leather.
Okay, so now real quick, suede and Alcantara.
I believe they're calling it suede, but I believe in actuality it's Alcantara. Which
is that not the same thing?
Just suede is a real leather. I think Alcantara is synthetic. And it mimics suede. I think Alcantara is also a trade name. There might be an actual name for the material.
Okay. High performance audio. I say yes.
Yes.
I mean, 825 watts from the factory. That's pretty good.
And a big subwoofer under the trunk, which is nice.
Yeah, I'm going to take this car to Joe's Car Audio Pros to have a subwoofer put in. I'll buy it from
yeah, I have the same system in mine, and it's pretty good for a factory system.
I would definitely get the trailer hitch.
I would get the trailer hitch too, even though you're not going to trail anything with it. It adds a little detail to the back of the car. Otherwise, it's just a plain straight across bumper.
Race car, I would love to tow it to the track with this thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely if you're actually going to use it, yeah.
See, I'm just, it gives you a I don't know if that counts as a mini spare or what, but it gives you the spare. The 7 and 4 pin is nice, not having to use an adapter. And you get a cooling upgrade.
Whoa, awesome.
That's worth it alone. Yep. Right there.
Yep, there we go.
That's definitely worth it alone.
So I'm all in. Do we want the rear seat DVD?
My wife had a Grand Cherokee Summit that had that in it. We never used it. I mean, theoretically, you can lay the seats down, put a blanket back there, and like if you're out camping, you can sit there and watch movies. We never did it, but I mean, it comes with a remote and 2 pairs of headphones. The screens are, I think they're like 12-inch.
I mean, we can look at more info, but can I just ask, who watches movies when they go camping? That's the whole point of going camping.
I'm just saying that's why they put them there. And I'm saying we never did that.
I'm just saying, I get glamping. I really do. like glamping by itself could be fun, but I prefer camping to glamping.
Yeah. I just want a gun rack in mine. Forget the Blu-ray player.
Wait, what was that Chevrolet truck? It was
Yes,
called
there-
the
There's a C10, like I think back in the day, like the High Country package or something like that, and it came with you could buy it like as a dealer like promotion and get a Marlin lever action rifle with it, and
and a
like,
gun rack, and yeah.
Can you imagine how people would lose their minds today for a
they would
gun?
clamoring to buy one. Yes,
Yeah, a
Dude,
rifle option.
We could call it the Freedom Package, and it comes with an
Freedom.
AR-15.
Yeah.
dude, are you kidding me? Can you imagine a Ram TRX like with a rifle package? People would flip, or an F-150 or any of them.
Right. Like if it came with like a high quality AR built rifle, like on a rack.
With the way the AR market is going, you could actually have the F-150 model AR-15. Like
right.
it would be engraved on the lower, like when
On
with
the
Focus
receiver.
and the Kona. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say,
Man, I hope somebody's listening to this and steals this idea. This is awesome.
I would want an engraving on the lower that said 5.56 millimeter death by Ford.
Yeah.
We can make that happen, Rob.
Yeah, with the oval and everything. Yeah.
Could you imagine if you recreated that now, the letter you would get, the cease and desist you would get from Ford?
Yeah. People would lose their minds.
Although, did you know that GM Hydromatic made M16s during the Vietnam era, and
Yes,
they are
I
now
did
worth
too.
a lot of money?
Yeah.
If you can find the Hydromatic roll marked lower.
Didn't General Electric also build, or they build miniguns? in
Yeah,
Vietnam?
the
Minigun.
M134. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, the little 6,000 round a minute. Brrr, yeah. Yeah.
So that's basically all the options we've got, boys. No wheels.
Oh, wait,
know.
we've got one more option. Do we want a block heater?
The other thing I'm surprised at, you got yellow calipers with no choice of color on the Hellcats and stuff.
Yeah.
With the Challengers and Chargers, you have 4 color choices. I'm kind of
That's pretty interesting. I didn't even notice that. We didn't miss it, right?
no, they just don't offer it. I think on the SRT 392 version.
It works with every color though.
So what are the brake specs?
It's Brembo 6-piston up front, Brembo 4-piston rear.
Okay.
I think it's a 15-inch rotor up front and like a 12.5 or a 13 in the back.
So basically GT500 brakes.
Or it's basically the same braking packages in the Challenger and Charger Hellcats.
So I wonder, because do you think that Brembo just sold the same package to all the manufacturers? Because it sounds like they all have the same big brake,
Or
high-end option.
Brembo probably has a product for each range of horsepower. There's probably a minimum recommendation in terms of size and piston count per horsepower grouping, and anything that, let's say, goes above 700 horsepower, this is what Brembo produces.
Yeah. Wow. I want to look closer at that. Is that a 2-piece brake rotor, or am I seeing that wrong?
They're probably floating rotors, but they're.
I can't really make it out on my screen. I got my
it's
screen
tiny,
dimmed a little bit for.
well, I mean, even on my giant 4K screens, it's still pretty small picture. So, but it looks like that might be a 2-piece rotor. That's kind of cool.
Well, how much is this?
We came in a hair under $100,000.
Yep. Oof. So where's the final?
It's above. I think there you go. 99,895.
And that is net, which means
that's insane.
That's okay. So that's 1,600 in destination charges. So this is a true.
How much
price
is that than the C8 that we built?
How much more? The C8 was 63 as built, I think. Is that
no?
right?
Didn't we get it up to 80?
The C8, I didn't remember that.
I know we added everything that could be added. I don't remember where we got, but
We'd have to go back and did you keep records on,
of course I
on
did.
price?
Just don't remember where I put them. That's what I'm looking for right now. You guys talk amongst yourselves while I try to find.
So how about those Dodgers, Vinny?
Well, Rob, you know I'm a Giants fan.
I know you are. That's why I said it, Vinny.
Yeah, well,
82,350.
they're a good ball club.
Yeah. Atlanta's a little scary, and I'll tell you, scaring the crap out of me. Boston and Houston are just, my God, the amount of runs that those two teams are scoring is just crazy.
Anybody that wins besides the Dodgers, my book.
You hate them that much, really?
I really don't like them at all.
Such a great bunch of guys. You got Kershaw and Turner who do so much charity work.
Yeah, listen, it's not the players. I just don't like the team.
All right.
Have, never will.
We got the C8 up to 82,350.
Is that right? I didn't remember that.
And this is
This
About 18 grand.
yeah,
18 grand more.
$8,000 more.
Yeah.
I
But
wouldn't spend it.
but double the horsepower
And almost double the weight.
double the weight, but you know, a lot more.
Capacity.
What'd you say?
More than double the capacity.
Double the capacity. Yeah. Plus you can, you know, if should you so desire, you could, you know, fjord streams and stuff in it.
This thing doesn't have third row seating, right? It's just the
It does not. It does not. The new Grand Cherokee, there was a version that Greg clicked on when we first started called the L, which is the first third row Grand Cherokee they've ever done.
Is that like the Jeep Grand Cherokee long?
Yeah, they have a new Grand Cherokee and a new Grand Cherokee long.
It's like the Glock
And
17L.
I can't stand the styling, the exterior styling on either one. It's really not good.
The new Grand Cherokee looks really bad. But
Yeah, it really does. It's just such a milquetoast design that looks like every Acura, Hyundai, you know.
it looks like somebody stepped on a Jeep Grand Cherokee and squished it.
Give me 1 second. My cat was nesting on my sweatshirt. I don't want all the cat hair all over. So there you go, boys. $100,000 Jeep. Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
Yeah, it's weird. We talked about this in the past, you know, when I said, you know, it's hard for me to accept $100,000 Ford
Yeah.
when we built a GT500. You know, it's like, I guess the logic amongst American car manufacturers is, look, if we're going to compete with Europe in terms of materials and performance and everything, it's going to have to be priced accordingly, because it is not cheap building these cars in America, you know. I'm sure if they could make this for less money, they would, you know, since the cheaper it was, the more they'd sell. I mean, if this was a $60,000 car, you'd be super attracted to it.
Yes.
100%.
But it's not. The only car that Dodge and or Stellantis has managed to pack that kind of horsepower and performance into, you can get a base Hellcat with no options for, I think it starts at like 63 right now.
That's a smoking deal.
I mean, and let's be fair, that no options, there's still quite a few options in there, right? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not in terms of like the touchscreen. I mean, there are no corners cut in terms of performance or supporting systems, but you get a car that has cloth seats, you know, they're kind of rental car seats, and you know, some corners are like, you don't get nav, you don't get high-end stereo, you don't get that cool engine turned dash and center console material. So, you know, on the inside, it kind of does look, I've seen stripped down Hellcats and they do kind of look rental car-y on the inside, but you're still getting 717 horsepower.
Yeah, but when you hear the blower whine everywhere you go, you don't, who cares?
Hey, you know.
I mean, seriously, think about what a stripped down performance vehicle from the 90s was. I mean, it was literally crank window, no AC, no radio.
Sure,
like,
sure.
And
Sure.
base model is a whole different story.
Sure. I just think like if it, you know, if I were running Dodge, I would want to, you know, maybe have vinyl seats as opposed to cloth. I'm not a big fan of cloth seats.
I love
just
cloth.
I always just instantly think rental car when I see.
No, I'm all about cloth. Like, I mean, to the point where we're talking, I've you know been talking, throwing it around. When I recover the Cobra seats, doing them in cloth because they do have a cloth option.
Standard, they're leather or vinyl?
They're leather.
Leather.
And the funny thing is, you can get the Cobra embroidered on the cloth. So I mean, it would literally just confuse people. But I mean, in Arizona too, the cloth is beneficial.
Well, there you make a solid point. You know, where you live, like black leather interior, unless you have a garage that the car instantly goes into, you know, and you close the door and it stays there overnight.
Tint the windows, and you're fine.
What'd you say?
You can tint the windows and you're fine.
Yeah, but
it doesn't help. It does not help.
Greg, I lived in Bakersfield for a lot of years. It gets real hot there too.
Well,
Always
maybe I'm just a princess.
my
vinyl
bearded
seats,
princess.
Yeah, my vinyl seats lasted 3 weeks in the Mustang, in the black car. And the reason it lasted 3 weeks is because that's how long it took to deliver the new cloth seats after I installed the vinyl ones.
Right. Did you do the reupholstery yourself?
No, when I did those, I literally just bought new scat or pro car seats.
I've seen, you know, on weekends on Motor Trend TV, or in the old days, what was that show that Courtney Hanson?
Oh, the Power Block stuff. So
yeah, what network was that? I can't remember.
That was on TNN, and then it was on Spike.
That's what it was. Yeah. And I've seen on those shows, like, guys do their own reupholstering, and it seems like something you need experience to do right, but it doesn't seem terribly, you know, it's not rocket science, but definitely, you know, in getting the material to smooth itself out, you'd like experience.
Watching Rob do both of the Porsche's interiors.
Oh yeah, your father-in-law.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, and he puts quite a bit of effort into it, which is why on the Cobra, I will be enlisting his help if we do the seat covers.
Oh, nice. Yeah, but, he'll hog clamp or whatever those
hog rings. Yeah,
hog rings. Yeah.
I mean, he went through this last interior he's doing. He went through 3 or 4 different sets of hog ring pliers because I guess he lost his, and then he couldn't find the perfect set. Like, that's how serious he is. So then he finally got, you know, the right pair. I don't.
Oh, well, good.
The main thing that I have against cloth seats is the durability. They don't last. Like, they get holes, especially in the driver's seat. Climbing in and out of them, they got super fast.
You know, you could voice the same criticism at modern leather. A lot of manufacturers use, you know, they want to impress people with how supple the leather is, but in the process, they give you very thin leather that can wear very quickly. That's a complaint a lot of Challenger owners have with the Laguna leather on the Challengers.
There's like preventative maintenance you can do with leather that will make it last longer. With cloth, I'm not so sure. I mean, UV protection maybe, but when you're continually like rubbing your jeans, climbing in and out of cloth, it's gonna wear out.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable.
I mean, I do have a nice little gash on one of my racing seats from the road race car from daily driving a cloth single not reclinable bucket.
Well, none of this is as bad as the story I told you when the seat in my Saab 900 Turbo collapsed. Did I tell that story live? I think
I don't think you did
did.
live. I think
Or maybe behind the scenes, I told you guys that story. Yeah, I was coming down from the Bay Area on PCH, and I'm just sitting there. I'm having a grand old time. I think I had Pink Floyd on "Wish You Were Here," and it was a 5-speed. I'm just enjoying my day, and all of a sudden, I went down like 4 inches. The spring section of the driver's seat collapsed. It was an old used Saab 900 Turbo. And I immediately pulled over, and there was like a 4 or 5 inch hole.
As long as it didn't violate you,
It didn't violate me, thank God. I didn't feel like I was in Chino or San Quentin or anything like that. But it was a problem, and I had to put eventually I was driving around with like a cushion from a couch on the seat because I was so poor at the time. I was like in my 20s that I couldn't afford to have the seat fixed. So, but anyway, I digress. Should we vote on the various categories on this guy?
Yeah. So first one's power.
717.
I see Vinny's eyes, so I'm guessing he's pulling all these up.
I am Googling. Let's see.
I mean, we know 717. So I mean,
Actually, you know what?
710.
It might be 707. I'm not sure if they modified the plenum or.
I think they listed it at 710. Let me pull up the.
Yeah, on the Challenger and Charger, they changed the intake, which gave a horsepower boost to both cars. I don't know if they did that on the Jeep.
Let's see. Of course, they're not saying now.
It's a secret.
Really? Seriously, they're making it this hard?
What are you on?
Well, I tried to back out of the configurator because I thought that's where I thought I saw the 710, but it completely left. So
just do a Google search on it.
Yeah, Google's saying 707. So
okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was. And 658 torque?
That would be good information if it was shared. Let's see. My eyes are burning. 645.
645. I'll let you guys know a secret. There's at least one car that we're going to review that has more horsepower than that. Like we ran into on the last 2 builds that we did, or series that we did. It's hard to look at a car that has over 700 horsepower and be anything but a 5, but in reality, I think I'm going to give it like a 4.75 and reserve a little space.
4.75234.
Yeah, right. Pi. Because something's going to beat it. I'll just dangle that out there for you.
Okay, Vinny.
Well, frankly, I don't know. Like, so what, Rob? There's only one that's going to beat it.
I believe so, but don't quote me on that.
As far as I'm concerned, I would have given it a 5 had Rob not said that. So I don't know, 4.9.
My question is, if we're gonna, even dangling or not, how is the power produced on the one that makes more? Is it a high spinning turbo that is peaky, or is it nice and nice and grunty like this one? Because
I you know what? That's a really good question. I believe it is a normally aspirated engine on the one that's going to beat it, believe it or not.
So because 700 naturally aspirated horsepower, let's just call them 700 for ease of use,
Mhm.
is going to feel totally different than
Yep.
a big kick in the shorts,
Yep.
especially on a heavy vehicle.
Yeah. Conversely, you don't get that sublime supercharger whine on a normally aspirated car. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the car that beats this has multi-cylinder normally aspirated. In other words, like more than 8 cylinders.
So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 5 because it's deserving of a 5. And the one that beats it can have a 5 as well.
Oh, very
Because
diplomatic.
I'm just saying they're different animals.
Right.
And I don't know that. I mean, if they were both supercharged, they're both the same type of engine and one made more, one wins.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're different animals, different ways to skin a cat, I'll give them both 5s. That's cool. So I'll give this a 5 because it
That's a
is.
good way of looking at it that I didn't consider. So, yeah, you know what? Bump me up to Vinny's. Bump me up to a 4.9. That's a good way of looking at things.
All right. And then handling.
This car for a 5,000 pound SUV handles shockingly well. It has, in addition to different ride height settings, it has a multitude of configurations on the touchscreen in terms of traction, suspension stiffness, steering stiffness, everything you can imagine can be customizable and then saved in a custom setting. And then conversely can be completely softened up for day-to-day comfort. You know, as far as SUVs go, and it has ridiculously thick front and rear anti-sway bars with quality end links and so forth. You know, as far as SUVs go, it's pretty darn good. I would give it like a 4.5. If you want to look up road holding or skid pad numbers, we can entertain that.
I feel like we might be struggling to find those.
You never know. Why don't you just on a whim look at Car and Driver or Road and Track and see if they've tested one of these. You know, it's not going to obviously be the numbers that we've seen with Corvettes and Ferraris and stuff, but if you compare the handling of the European cars that we're gonna look at in this series, they're not dramatically better numbers.
Whoa. I did find skid pad numbers.
Mm-hmm.
In 18, it was 0.88.
I mean, that's
in
pretty
19,
good.
It was up to 0.91 for an SUV.
Yeah, that weighs 5,000 plus pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not expect those numbers. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's got very sophisticated suspension. It's got the adaptive shocks and stuff, plus all the different ride height settings. You can slam this thing on the ground from the cockpit. It's called Aero. I think the setting is called Aero, and it lowers the entire vehicle like 2 inches from stock ride height.
I mean, I'll follow your lead at 4.5, but those numbers blow me away. I did not expect to see those numbers.
Yeah,
I didn't expect to see any numbers, to be honest, because
it's all-wheel drive.
what idiot puts a SUV on a skid pad?
Well, the idiots at Car and Driver.
Well, the idiots that are our kind of idiots, apparently.
Well, it's all-wheel drive, so you know.
Yeah. Where are you, Vinny?
I'm right there with you guys. You know, I think that's a solid score, especially for such a large vehicle. And I mean, that's impressive.
It is. They, SRT, they do their best on things. A vehicle at Stellantis typically does not receive an SRT moniker unless it has considerable equipment over your standard range. And with the Jeep, that's really true. It was the same for the Durango as well. The refinements in the Durango Trackhawk were considerable, even over the 392 SRT version. So
next is interior, and I'm going to start off because I think I was probably the most wowed by the interior, but I'm still not going to give it a perfect score because that back seat looked awful.
Let me I drive a version of this car which basically has the same interior. I have full leather and wood versus carbon fiber and Alcantara. It's a really comfortable, well thought out, well laid out interior. The gauge cluster is LCD. It's highly configurable. The touchscreen is highly configurable. It's really well done. I would, however, offer a caveat that we're going to be looking at Lamborghinis and Aston Martins.
That honestly, that in and of itself isn't enough to sway me because an interior will make or break me. And I've been
like we saw with the McLaren. All three of us were so impressed with the interior of the McLaren that it did a lot better than any of us thought it would, largely because we were all blown away by the interior. So
I mean, I'll ding it for the back seat, but the interior did wow me just looking at it. And so I 4.5 because that gives us room for somebody to beat it, but still carbon fiber. I mean, it would have been a 4, but the carbon fiber gave it an extra half point. So
I'll be a little less generous, but I'll go 4.25. I've never sat in a Lamborghini Urus, but I'm sure when we get there, the wow factor on those cars is probably extreme. And I can assure you the Aston Martin interior is probably going to be the best we see. But I'm really happy with the interior on mine. A lot of space, seats fold down completely flat in the back. As we discussed, they're not the most comfortable rear seats, but they are adjustable. All the knobs and switches are well laid out, and on the Trackhawk, they're all like the center console and stuff is all metal, which is really nice. I think it's definitely deserving in the 4s. Oh, and the panoramic sunroof is great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
not gonna lie, that's pretty cool.
I haven't seen any of the others that we're going to review, but I imagine just based on what we know about those brands from doing past builds, they're going to be exquisite, especially when we start looking at like Lamborghini and Aston Martin and stuff. So as much as I really appreciate the Trackhawk's interior, I liked it a lot. I kind of want to give it like a 3.8 because I just think as nice as it is, I think it's gonna get blown out of the water by some of the other brands.
Well, it most assuredly is, but then there's another way to look at it where this came in at $100,000 and your Aston and your Lamborghini are going to be multiples of that number. Just saying, you get what you pay for.
Dollars.
Well, I mean, to be fair though, let me tell you where I'm coming from. Like my 2014 Rogue that I had, there's nothing really special about that interior, but it fit me like a glove.
Mm-hmm.
That on this scale would get a 4, even though it's cheap, plasticky. It fit me like a glove, and it doesn't have to be exquisite to be perfect.
No, and the door panels and stuff on the Trackhawk, they're all leather. There's no hard plastics on door panels or anything like that. It's got really nice Mercedes sourced aluminum pedals that have nubs on them, rubber nubs on them, like everything you come in contact with the exception of like your turn signal, which is like standard Jeep plastic. But most of the main surfaces, the dashboard, the doors, it's all either very soft touch or it's leather. The dashboard is leather on this car. So
yeah, I mean, I think interior is probably one of the more personal spaces for anybody.
Absolutely.
Because that's where you spend most of your time, right?
Yep.
Next is going to be performance.
Let's get some numbers there, Gregory, if you would. I know what it does 0 to 60, which is astonishing. I'm less familiar with quarter mile.
All right. Getting my number sheet here. We have a 0 to 60 of 3.5 seconds.
Yeah.
0 to 100 of 8.8. 0 to 150 of 24.4.
Wow.
Seconds 0 to 100. Good Lord.
Yeah. The standing quarter mile is listed as 12 flat at 115.
For like it's what, a 5,500 pound vehicle or something. It's astonishing.
And then top speed, which is drag limited at 180.
If this thing was the same weight as a Challenger Hellcat, it would be faster than a Challenger Hellcat because of the 4-wheel drive. That's key to all this. Jeep's 4-wheel drive system is top notch, and there's like 0 wheel spin on these cars. You just launch. That's impressive stuff. I mean, any way you cut it, it's one of the fastest SUVs in the world. I'm going to go 4.7.
Okay. Benny, I'm still formulating.
Greg, do you remember how fast the quarter mile was for like a 2004 Mustang Cobra?
I want to say like
14 maybe.
No, it was the supercharged one. I think it was like 1280s maybe.
12.9.
Mm-hmm.
This thing does 12 seconds flat, and it weighs 1,500 pounds more.
Mm-hmm. It's insane. It's insane, and it's not just the Hellcat engine and the 8-speed auto. It really is the 4-wheel drive system that. I'll tell you a quick story. When I bought my SRT8, it came with a track day. SRT track day, and you could opt to bring your own car, or they had cars there. I went for the latter. I wanted to trash their cars, not mine. And it was at I think it was at Pomona Race. It was either Pomona or Fontana, I can't remember which, but they created an infield. There was an infield like road course, and with cones they set up a drag strip, and they had a slalom set up for us and everything like that. And we had a choice: the SRT8 Challenger, the 392, the SRT8 Charger 392, the Chrysler 300 392, and the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT 392. And without question, most of the guys there were Challenger and Charger guys. The parking lot looked like a Dodge dealership because we all drove our cars there and then trashed Dodge's cars. To a person, everybody said the most impressive car we drove that day was the Grand Cherokee. The 4-wheel drive system it's just incredible the way it proportions power to the right wheels. There's on launch. I mean, you just on this car, you just flatten the accelerator and it just goes. There's no hesitation. There's no wheel spin, nothing.
Yeah, I would definitely, I'd give this one a 4, solid 4.
So Greg, where are you?
I think I'm more like a 4.5 because it is getting weighted because of the performance from such a large you know, what should be a cumbersome vehicle. But yeah, I mean, that's impressive no matter how you cut it. And the fact that it doesn't appear that they pulled the C8 and like put everything into the 0 to 60 time.
Right.
Like it just hauls ass everywhere. So yeah. Yeah,
This,
I give it 4.5.
to give you a perspective, this car, even though it weighs more than 1,500 pounds than my Challenger SRT8 that I just sold, it's quicker in the quarter mile and 0 to 60 than that car.
Yeah. So I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive feat of engineering to get that much weight moving that efficiently.
Yep.
Now we're price. I mean,
well, here we go again.
I struggle here.
Yep.
And the reason I struggle is the reason we've all talked about. If I was paying out of pocket, I would be buying an Explorer ST at the reduced performance, because at half the price, literally half the price, I don't think my scores would be 2.5s.
See, I look at it, a little bit differently. I have the same general problem, but I come to it differently. For me, it goes back to what I said, about Dodges and Fords costing $100,000, that it's just difficult for me, it just, when I was even just go back 30 years ago, let's say we go back to 1991, $100,000 was the price of a Ferrari, like a Testarossa, that was pretty much as expensive as cars would get. A Rolls Royce was maybe a little bit more expensive, like $150,000, $130,000. A modified rough 911 turbo, or rough, however it's pronounced, then you were talking like $1.25 on those. And I know times have changed. I know the value of the dollar has changed. I know that the cost of production has changed, and we've progressively since 1991 seen the median car price go up quicker than inflation even. But I've still got the same mentality where it's like, how could a Jeep cost $100,000? It's a 3.5 second 0 to 60 Jeep. Yeah, I get it. You're getting a whole hell of a lot of performance for the dollar compared to the other cars that we're gonna review in this series that cost a whole hell of a lot more, but yet it's still $100,000.
It's $100,000 Jeep.
Yeah. So I'm with you. Where are you number wise?
I feel like I might be being unnecessarily harsh, but I feel like I'm at like a 3. Because even though its competition might be triple the price, at the end of the day, it's an exotic. It's,
well, let's look at this the other way. I'm not criticizing your number, but conversely, if the fastest car we review in this series, all right, there's one car that I'm pretty sure outdoes this pretty substantially, but let's say it's $400,000. Is there a tipping point where you start feeling the other way about it? Yeah, this is
$400,000. Yeah, but I mean, if we're talking $200,000, I mean, yeah. If we start getting into the price range of the supercars that we reviewed, 280s, 320s, that's kind of.
But what if they're only marginally faster than this?
What if
they get a lower score, right?
This is not a sexy car. It's still a Jeep Grand Cherokee at its core.
So
I don't know. It's just,
if we do an AMG Mercedes, and let's say the performance of that vehicle, and I don't even know the numbers offhand, I'm just This is purely hypothetical. Let's say those numbers are marginally better or roughly the same as this car, but the Mercedes comes in at $200,000.
I think the
Then-
Mercedes would get a better score.
Because it's a Mercedes, you're saying, because it's going to have a Mercedes interior and
Well, just because it's a Mercedes, and you know, I hate to say it, but you know, you pull up to a valet for dinner,
Mhm.
they're going to look at that, and it's going to get parked in front of the restaurant.
Mhm.
You pull up in the Trackhawk, they're going to pull up behind the dumpster.
I'm not in disagreement with you, although I think 3 is a little harsh because
It is a little harsh. No, it is, and it really
well,
is.
only because this is the cheapest car we're gonna review. So
I know.
you're getting value.
Yeah, and I do think 3 was maybe too harsh. So maybe 3.5. I mean,
That's where I think I'm at.
I think 3.5 is a little more fair.
I was right at 3.2, Greg, and I considered going even lower. And it's not just because of this Jeep, right? I mean, that is a big factor. It's just a Jeep. But I'm gonna score all of I anticipate scoring all of these cars or SUVs
Low.
in the price category, because I have to think about this, right? What role does it fill? And so, like, granted, I don't have a family. I don't take my kids to soccer practice and all that, right? But so I'm trying to put myself in those shoes to see, like, okay, well, maybe then it's worth it. But even then, it's not the best vehicle for that. There's, it only seats 5. So
well, you know what the role that it fills? It's high performance, ridiculous high performance in a vehicle that shouldn't perform this well for people with way too much money. All of these cars.
yeah, I guess.
Like, do you need a Lamborghini SUV to take your kids to school?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Then it's filling that role. That's the role that it is filling.
Because you've got stupid money to burn. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
yeah.
So
but is this really stupid money, or is this something that you don't have to be rich to afford?
I'm getting to a point here, right? So my point is, it's not filling just the role of like a supercar or a super muscle car, right? That can stand on its own. People have historically spent stupid money on those things because it's a frivolous thing, right? Just because you want that thrill. On the other end of the spectrum, you have tools. You have like vehicles that are utilitarian in function. A big truck, a diesel truck, or even hell, I would say $80-something thousand for that TRX. That's a fair price. I think that's legit. So then this falls somewhere in between, where it's not a utilitarian. It's not solely a utilitarian vehicle, but it's not solely a fun vehicle. It's trying to fill both of those roles, but it's not doing either of them very well. So I think the price you're paying for it is not that great.
I see where you're coming from, and I have to agree with that. I get it, because you're right. It's not scratching either itch very well.
Yeah, I can't. Well, it is high performance. They're awesome, right? But it's not sporty, like you said, Greg. You can't pull up to the country club in this thing and be like, "Oh yeah, look at me." People who know are going to know, but the guy who pulls up in his brand new Porsche, he's going to like scoff at you. And then you can't use it to haul lumber, so.
Yeah.
Well, you actually can. It's just no one does.
Well, you can use anything to haul lumber if you're brave enough.
But I mean, the in terms of interior space in the back with the seats down, you can fit a whole crap load of stuff back there.
I'm not gonna haul bags of concrete or whatever you can with a pickup truck.
Right. And you're certainly not going to mess up $100,000 SUV using it as a utilitarian vehicle. That's not really what this is. None of these are going to be for that.
The only way that I can even this out is to score all of them equally harshly.
Well, that's where I was getting at. That's what I was trying to get at with Greg. If this thing, if we're scoring price by ridiculousness of the vehicle, it's going to go exponentially up when we're looking at $400,000 ridiculous cars, which are going to be in this series. So I don't think any of these cars are going to score high for me on the price category, but I would go 3.5 on this because it's going to be the least offensive out of any we do.
Yeah, I would say I'm at 3, and that's probably a good score in this vehicle category.
Well,
Okay.
you brought up a really good point, Vinny, which puts me back down to a 3. You said this one doesn't really do anything really well. I'm not going to lie. I think a Lamborghini Urus, however the hell you say that, will scratch the whole performance itch a little bit better, the sports car hitch a little bit better, even if it doesn't perform as well, because it is a little more, you know what I mean? It's not as boxy. It's not as SUV-ish.
Yeah,
it is.
but
that'll be X Factor though.
I know. I'm just saying. But so again, the price. I don't want to call it boring because it's certainly not boring, but
it's an awesome car.
It's just. I'll split the difference and go 3.25. Like
see, we're all struggling with this because all of the cars in this segment are ultimately superfluous. You could get the same basic utilitarian task done in a regular Grand Cherokee as you can with this, but you got bragging rights with this one that it does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. But
what's a regular Grand Cherokee cost?
What's that?
What's a regular Grand Cherokee cost?
I have the second highest trim level, non-SRT trim level. I have the Hemi V8. It's a 4x4. The sticker on mine was like 56 and I got it for 48 because it was an outgoing model year.
Okay, so in theory, if I took you with me to get it because I get the Rob deal, I could go buy a Mach 1 too.
Yeah, I mean,
do you see where my problem is?
Yeah, you're paying for a superfluous divine engine over what you get with my car, which is a 400 horsepower Hemi V7 Hemi V8. You're getting 307 extra horsepower, but
how much is a Whipple?
For what? For what is the purpose of that? There is no purpose for that. Like I said, it's for people who got money to burn.
I know.
And
I'm struggling right now. I'm just struggling.
I know. But I think in the low to mid 3s is fair, provided that when we start looking at 200 and some odd $1,000 AMGs and stuff, we're equally as harsh on that.
See, and now are you seeing why I'm saying an Explorer ST would kill this? Kill this
in this category. Yeah.
No, I mean it would kill the whole spreadsheet.
It would get slaughtered in every other category.
Though. Yeah, and then it would be coming at like 25% of the price, and it would destroy everybody.
Yeah, but our scoring structure, it would lose overall because the only one that it would really like blow everything out of the water would be price and performance and every other metric.
But remember, everything's divided by price at the end.
Yeah, but still, you'd be scoring really low on the ST's interior and.
Well, I honestly, I don't know. I've been in ST, it wouldn't be. I mean, certainly the interior would not be getting we gave him a 3.8. Well, Vinny did, but honestly, the interior would get a solid 3. I think.
Yeah, but the performance comparatively, I'd have to give it like a 1.
I would do probably a 2.
1.5 maybe,
but that's only 2 points out. You know what I'm saying? Like it would unfairly win the competition.
I'm not so sure.
I don't feel like the Explorer ST.
Okay, let's build it and find out. But
No. I'm being serious. I don't think the Explorer ST would be fair in this. I think it would unfairly win, even though it's what I like. I think it would unfairly win. I do.
I'm not sure. I never got into the mathematics of how you guys were doing this.
Well, do you remember how badly the Corvette beat up on everybody in the numbers? I mean, it was almost 300% difference.
Well,
in the final point
maybe
price or
that's
dollar
an
per point.
indicator that our scoring system is not not that great.
That's what I'm saying.
So much
That's
superior.
I'm just saying, like, it would break this. It would break our spreadsheet. It would.
Hmm.
I think it would.
No, because Rob and I would give it all ones in every category other than price.
Yeah,
But that's not fair. That's genuinely not fair.
well,
Because the
no,
interior is nice. The handling is great. Like, handling probably beats the Trackhawk.
Well, you do some independent research, and then when we come back in the next episode, you can say, "Hey, I researched the Focus or the whatever ST Explorer ST, and its G pad numbers or skid pad numbers were whatever."
I'm just saying it would win because of the spreadsheet. It would, but
on that note,
X factor.
X factor. Well, the X factor on this car obviously is the engine. Anybody who's driven any Hellcat powered car can attest to just the endless amount of power. It just seems like it's never gonna hit that brick wall. But in the end, it is a Jeep, just like a Challenger is just a Dodge, or a Charger is just a Dodge. Plus, we're, the X factor on some of the other cars in this category. You're going to have engine and performance as the X factor on some of them. Affecting X factor on this car in a negative way is like what you and Vinny were describing when you pull up to the country club. It doesn't have that Porsche name on it. It doesn't have that Lamborghini name on it. I always thought, I love the way my Grand Cherokee looks. I think for the segment that mine is in, not this segment, but just, a regular SUV, I think it's one of the better styled SUVs that has aged very gracefully. So, I mean, for me, X factor, okay, Hellcat engine, but it's just a Jeep. I'm going to have to come in at like a 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think, to be honest, that might be a little generous, and I might change it depending on what you guys.
I think the X factor is it's closely tied to what you mentioned, Rob. But the X factor for me is the fact that this thing's kind of a sleeper, right? So many people on the road would just see a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Obviously, those who know, and it has sporty styling and things like that. It doesn't look just like a regular Jeep Grand Cherokee, but it'll blow your doors off on like 9 out of 10 things on the road, so that to me is really cool. The fact that, it looks just like a Jeep, a little bit more aggressive, but it is just monstrously fast compared to most things on the road, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's something to consider. Like, if you don't know what this is and you pull up in like an SS Camaro or a 5-liter Coyote Mustang, or even a Scat Pack Challenger, you're going to get your ass handed to you when the light turns green, and you're really going to be shocked about it. I mean, that is true.
It's just hellacious, man. 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60. Good.
And a 12-second quarter mile, which is just ridiculous.
What does a Mustang GT do?
4.0, 4.1.
Crazy.
0 to 60.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not supercharged, but still, man.
Yeah.
So I think that's the cool thing about this car to me. And if you do have a family and stuff, you could still scratch the itch of like having a performance vehicle, but having something practical too. So I don't know. I'd give it like a 3.75.
You're going that high? Really? I thought I was being a little generous because I was also considering what we haven't, what we haven't gotten to yet in this segment.
What's that?
Stuff we haven't got.
Well, like an Aston Martin or a Lamborghini, which
Well, yeah, but I think the X Factor metric kind of stands alone. No.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Greg?
I'm at a 2.5 because the sleeper stuff, that's awesome. Like it's just cool, right? Being able to, wax any muscle car that isn't really any NA muscle car made right now with your family in the car. It's kind of cool. Does get a big hit for me because you can't do burnouts in it. And I'm being serious. Like, one of the things I thought about was being able to pick up your kid in the drop-off line and just roasting the tires when all the idiot parents are like just pissing you off. You can't do that in this.
Right.
Like, and that's kind of what the whole SRT, Hellcat, thing is.
Well, you can take traction control off.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still all-wheel
drive
drive vehicle, and it's
you'll get some chirp, but you're not going to do a burnout in this.
Yeah, so
that's not possible.
That kind of takes away from some of the badass blower line, right? Like, and I know it's stupid, but it's X Factor, and that's like, if I'm gonna, own a stupid family vehicle, I want to be able to like be the dad that gets the note sent home, like, don't pick up your kid in that vehicle. Like, you're not allowed in the pickup line anymore.
Have you been that guy?
No.
No kids.
But
only because you don't have any.
That's why I'm not on any of my friends' kids' authorized pickup lists either.
Right, exactly.
Well,
I feel better about, I was a little unsure about my number, but I'm right in the middle kind of between you two. So I kind of think I'm going to stick where I'm at.
Yeah. And I mean, that brings us to the last one. I think we actually need to reorganize this and put price at the very bottom, but the next one, or the last one, is looks. I feel like I can't say anything because you have one. I don't want to talk shit.
No, please, man. You hate Challengers, and a Challenger to me is one of the best looking cars on the road.
Well, this isn't a hate or not hate.
So as you guys know, and has been well documented, I am not a Jeep guy. I'm not a Jeep fan. Not my favorite brand. I don't care for their styling typically. And with that said, this is probably one of the only Jeep offerings that I actually do like. I like the Grand Cherokee, and they ruined it for 2022. So good job, Jeep. But this model I actually like. I think it's sporty. I think it's aggressive. It looks cool. Even the one that we built, even though it was the color that I would have chosen, I like the yellow calipers. They kind of make the color, the boring color of the vehicle pop and look sporty with the black wheels. I thought it was cool. I dug it. I'll give it a 4.
A 4.
I chose the Grand Cherokee as my daily driver because I wanted a plush, big, but not huge SUV, like things like the Denali and stuff like that. The fuel mileage and having that in California, especially in Malibu with narrow mountain roads and stuff up here, was out of the question. Escalade's out of the question for me. Expedition, any full-size SUV. And out of the segment, like I said before, to my eye, the Grand Cherokee is the best styled of the bunch. It's conservative, but also, in my trim line, sporty looking, not as sporty looking as the Trackhawk. I would go a 4 on it. That's what you said, a 4?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would go a 4 as well. We're gonna look like the Aston Martin for me is the one that rings my bell. But there's nothing boring about the Grand Cherokee, and at the same time, there's nothing flashy about it. It's just an attractive design for a mid-size SUV, much better, I think, than most of the other offerings, which is why I gravitated towards it. I actually didn't gravitate towards it because it was a Mopar. It was really for the price and the combination of features and a big V8 engine and the styling. I thought it was the best offering for me. So,
see, if you put the caveat in there of for a Jeep, it is good looking for a Jeep. I mean, it has nice lines for a Jeep, and by Jeep I mean Jeep product, not, you know.
Well, what about like the vents and the hood and stuff? Like, that's pretty aggressive.
It's aggressive, yeah. It looks good for a Jeep, but compared to when I think of a Porsche Cayenne, right? Even the older ones, this is blocky. It is. It's got almost right angles.
It's funny that you mentioned even the early ones, because when the Cayenne first came out, I really didn't like it. I thought the taillights and there was a lot of stuff that was super underdone. Granted, the current ones are amazing looking. But when that first came out, I was kind of unimpressed for the money.
On Car and Driver, there's a shot of it going through some S turns directly from the back. I can see a 1990 Grand Cherokee there. I can see the shape. I can see it. Like, I'm looking at this picture. I can see the 1990 Grand Cherokee here still.
That's probably by design, though.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, the fact that it evokes such a blah car by today's standards. I feel like I'm being overly harsh because it's not a bad looking vehicle. It's just not exciting to me. I mean,
this is all subjective.
And then to qualify my opinion, I thought my 2014 Rogue looked pretty good. I thought it looked really good, actually. It kind of looked like a pregnant roller skate, but I liked it.
I was going to wait until after this segment to kind of bring this up, like in closing thoughts, but maybe it's relevant now. When you look back like 20 years ago, no brand was making anything like this, which isn't exactly true, because you had, well, yeah, how long ago did they make the Trailblazer SS? It was about 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, so they were the only ones that were doing it. And then before then, you had like the Typhoon and
the Sci-Tie, yeah.
But those aren't exactly the same thing. They were small. But you know, I mean, who would have thought that we were even that this would have ever existed? I don't think anybody could have predicted, you know, this supercharged behemoth, right?
Whoever thought that American manufacturers would ever put 700 horsepower aside, but just factory supercharged regular production cars with a regular warranty. I mean, it's apples and oranges comparing the year 2000 to now, because like the technology and the market niche just didn't exist, you know. It's shocking that American manufacturers are doing this, that a GT 500 with over 700 horsepower exists, that a Challenger.
That's less shocking to me than something like this, right? That's a sports car. That's like,
the
Mustang it's always been a performance vehicle. Well, not always, but they've always had performance offerings. And so this is like kind of crazy, right? So this is kind of going back to what you're saying, Greg, like where, you know, it's kind of like blah. Well, it's a Jeep SUV. You know, how crazy do you want it to get? It's, you know what I mean?
You're right. That's why, again, for a Jeep, it's amazing. But we're comparing it against some of the most elegant and high-end European automakers. So it doesn't
true,
really
and
compare.
I considered that in my number, and I think Vinny did too. Giving it a 4 leaves a whole lot of space for
I don't think it deserves a 4. Like in my eye, it doesn't.
Don't
Now,
think-
I'm not saying giving it a 2.
Yeah.
I'm not like, but it's just
I
if
don't
we
think it's as boring as you're making it out to be. I think
No.
it's a pretty nice car.
no, I'm just saying, but the looks again, if they had completely thrown out all design cues, trying to harken back to earlier model years and made something crazy, I'd love it.
Mm.
Like I guess I just don't appreciate the heritage and what they've done. I don't.
in other words, make it a standalone vehicle with its own bespoke bodywork and chassis.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
good.
I mean, and really that stupid picture where I can see the 1990 Grand Cherokee, you know, like in the silhouette, that's really hurting it in my mind.
I think it pays you know, good homage to the original Cherokee.
I
Real-
know.
I think it's I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
But
they,
to me, that's not a plus for this segment, for this.
well, but you know, within Jeep, there's a certain, you know, you might not like Jeeps, but what they decided to do was pay homage to their heritage. Like
Yeah,
the
for sure.
grills on all Jeeps, for example, especially the Wrangler, harkens back to the original Jeeps from World War II.
Yeah.
You know, the open slot.
Well, and
type
I'm sure
deal.
that anybody who loves Jeep thinks I'm insane right now. Like, because I'm basically saying the things that make it great to them don't matter to me.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, where are you at?
I gotta give it a 3. And I feel like that's pretty harsh.
I don't think that's too harsh.
It's just,
It's subjective.
yeah, it's just because at the end of the day, it probably isn't going to hold up, in my opinion, to the other things that we're looking at looks wise.
Curious, Rob, does the track, or do you know if the Trackhawk has any of those little Jeep things that
The Easter eggs?
yeah, like the little, you know, crawling Jeep on the window
They
stuff?
all do. Yeah, they all do. Mine has that on the windshield. I have xenon headlights on mine, and it's got a little Jeep on it. The steering wheels or on the Trackhawk, I think it's actually under the center console cover. It says like since 1941. There's Easter eggs all over it. On my wheels, there's a little silhouette of a Willis. Mopar does that on all their cars now. Like Challengers have little Easter eggs and stuff all over.
That's pretty cool. Going back to what your point was, Greg, I don't know. I think it's as exciting as a Jeep Grand Cherokee would get, you know, and I think they did a good job doing that. So I guess that's why I wasn't as critical of that aspect of it.
Yeah. And I think what you just said is 110% fair.
Yeah.
But that's still a big but.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I don't think you're being overly harsh. I think that's just your opinion, and you know.
Well, the funny thing is, watching these numbers, the totals change as we went down the thing, because it seems like in the second half, I got real critical of the vehicle. And in the first half, I was real.
Well, that's where all the performance numbers are.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's slowly, every time we add a new number, my score drops below your guys's further.
We have to do like an off-road version of this. We'll have to include a Rubicon or like whatever, you know, Jeep there is.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the looks department, I'll give it a 1. So don't feel so bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of this, we're all pretty close. I mean, we are 1.1 apart end to end.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
take that back. Sorry. I just totally miscounted. We're 1.7. Yeah, we're 1 1/4 apart.
Jeez, that's surprising.
Close.
Yeah. So
what were the final?
we got you took it at 2885, and that's the total. And then Vinny was at 2795, and I was 2725. I'm sorry, I can't count. That was 1 and 1.5.
That's
One
pretty
and
good
1.6.
spread. It sounds like you know, that's exactly where we would be.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty low spread.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come at, and again, this doesn't matter yet because we don't have any other price point comparisons, but we're ranging from $34.61 dollars per point to $36.64. So a pretty minor spread.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, and just for comparison, the C8, if I remember right, was at like 41-42 per point. So
what was our spread on the mid-engine sports cars? Like,
that's a great question.
I mean, on the, like, did we do an average of how we varied?
No, I didn't calculate any of that stuff.
Okay.
But like, let's use the Ferrari, right? Because that was probably the pinnacle of that.
Yeah.
We ranged over $1,000 per point.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, that was a $400,000 car. But yeah, our scores varied actually less. Our actual point scores varied less on the Ferrari. Maybe the Ferrari wasn't the good one to do.
We'll do the C8. Where we were at on the C8.
Yeah, on the C8, I think we were all pretty close on the C. Yeah, we were all damn close on the C8. We were, well, no, I guess because Vinny really loved the C8, so we were 1.5 off on that one.
Really?
So this compares exactly. That's interesting.
Ooh, I was wrong. The C8 dollar per point is way less. Like, quick math says 15% less dollar per point.
Meaning
the C8 was cheaper.
Right. Oh,
but I
right.
mean, then again, it is 20 grand cheaper.
Right.
So,
well, this I think will be a very interesting competitive field this time around with the SUVs, because we're going to get into cars that are much more plush, but at the same time much more expensive and not necessarily much faster, or or in general having better performance. So this might be a tight one for all we know. It might be tighter than the mid-engine sports car series.
One thing that I think is interesting about this segment is I think like my favorite out of all these is probably going to be that Lambo, and I'm not a Lamborghini fan. Like, it's not my brand at all. I really like the way that SUV looks.
Reserve judgment until we reviewed that Aston, because I saw that thing in person and it knocked my shoes off, dude.
What's it called?
The Aston Martin DBX.
No, I like the Lambo better.
Do you? See, I see a lot of the Lambos out here, and I've only seen one Aston DBX.
I don't like Aston Martin at all. It looks like
No, I'm telling you, in person, it's something to behold.
They took like a Vanquish and then just.
Well, that's the whole idea. They wanted to keep the design theme, Aston Martin design theme. We're gonna have to agree to disagree. But to me, the Lambo, it's very testosterone-y, it's very over the top.
The Lamborghini looks like Lamborghini and a Honda CRX may have had a kid. Yeah, and that's not an insult. That's not an insult, by the way.
I guess I like it because I'm not like a Lamborghini fan, so I have no like. When I see that when I see that Aston Martin, I'm like, ew, what have you done to my Aston Martin? When I see that Lamborghini, I'm like, oh, that's cool, because I don't really care for any of the other designs.
Well, you know what? Until we meet again, you and I should talk about, we should finalize the list of cars that were SUVs that we're going to include, because it occurs to me there's some I hadn't thought of yet, and we're getting into a lot of cars if we don't whittle this down. Like I mentioned, there's 3 possibilities from Italy, and the DBX is not the only English car. It occurs to me there's a Bentley and there's a Rolls-Royce. that definitely fit into this category in terms of performance. And then you have the Germans, you have 3 Germans. So we might want to whittle it down. Otherwise, the series will go on for like 3 months or 4 months or something. So
I don't know if we need to be including the Bentley SUV. I just looked it up.
not my cup of tea, but that thing has power to spare.
Yeah, well, okay.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
Thanks for doing this. It was fun. The
it
track
was.
is fast and pretty cool car.
Yeah, I like him.
Until next time, I guess we will all bid each other farewell.
I'm not doing it.
Come on, Craig.
See you guys later.
There you have it, Greg. We built one hell of a Trackhawk.
It's an impressive vehicle. It's just not. I don't know, man. I don't know if I could spend my money on that.
$100,000 is a lot of freaking money, man.
I mean, like I was serious when I asked Rob, I could buy a pretty nicely equipped one of those and a Mach 1.
Well, like I said, yes, you could. But for me, and I know we're all in different positions in life, right? So some people might disagree, but the vehicle out of this lineup, I mean, I'd buy a Ram TRX, and you see the same amount of people, and I think it's a much cooler vehicle for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think you and I are both of the same mindset in general, in that we would rather have specific cars for specific reasons instead of one car to do it all.
Yeah.
But not everybody has that space, that ability. You know what I mean? Not everybody can have, this, $10,000 car for this and this 10,000
Right.
and to add up to that. So for someone who really does need something to do it all, it's cool that there's an option,
I guess you're right in that respect, right? It doesn't do any one thing the best, but it does all the things in some way.
Yeah.
So you can, like Rob said, you can haul lumber in this thing. You can take it to the track. You can drop your kids off at daycare or whatever. And, you can feel confident pulling up to really any situation in this thing. So, I think it's cool.
Yeah. It whether it created the niche or the market demanded it, it's here and it's awesome. And it does what it needs to do.
Well, I think some of the other vehicles that we look at in this segment will prove that it definitely didn't create the niche.
Yeah.
But for the American market, it has certainly very close to perfected it.
Yeah. And you know what? Looks are subjective. I may be way off. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail from Jeep fans.
I'm curious, if we would have built that Durango, what would you have scored the looks?
It would have gone way up.
Yeah.
I think the Durango looks better.
Me too. I really like that Durango Hellcat.
It's got a nice sleek nose. The headlights are sharp.
Yeah, it's got the Hellcat type hood.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like a Hellcat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't hate this Jeep, but it wasn't as good looking as the Durango. Which is weird because I guess they only built it for 1 year, but when we looked online, you can still configure them. So yeah. I don't know.
Who knows? I do think the Durango beats the Trackhawk in looks.
Yeah. Well, listen, man. I had a lot of fun building this one. I want to see what the future holds as far as the next vehicles that we're gonna build. I know we haven't landed on exactly which one comes next, but we have narrowed down which ones we'll be building. So everybody at home, look forward to that. I want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsors. without them, we couldn't do the show, and without you guys, we couldn't do the show. Of course, our sponsor list is wide and varied, but it includes Performance Distributors, ProCharger, ARP, Liqui-Moly, Silver Sport Transmissions, Holley Performance Brands, Optima, Performance Online, and of course, our title sponsor, Lucas Oil. So thank you to all of them. If you're in the market for any number of automotive aftermarket accoutrements, check out their respective websites.
For sure.
Greg, as we kind of wrap up here, what do you have for the folks at home? What's going on Engine Labs? What can they be on the lookout for?
Oh, judging by when we're going to be releasing this, I have no idea. Yeah, really, there's so much in the hopper. I don't know what's going to be published by the time this goes live, and I don't want to spill the beans on anything at the wrong time. But yeah, so there's a lot. So be sure to keep checking back because we're loaded up.
For sure, man. Similar situation for Street Muscle. As always, we got new content going up from Rob. We have his monthly columns. I think we just recently published his latest movie review, which was an older movie back in 2004, I think, called Drive Hard. So some interesting Australian muscle in that movie. So if you guys are interested, go check that one out. And then we'll also have Rob's movie Muscle, which takes an in-depth look at the Gran Torino from Starsky and Hutch. So that one's one I have been looking forward to. So we'll keep an eye out for that one. And of course, we have our normal tech and features that go up all the time on Street Muscle. So head on over to Street Muscle Mag and check that out. I think that's all we have for you guys this time. Don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time, noon Pacific time. Peace.